we have recognized that when somebody buys a ticket to take a flight, particularly when they are buying it for the whole family, it's a considerable expense. Flying can be a stressful experience for some people, and it is essential to recognize that passengers, when they've bought that ticket, have certain rights. And that's why we've worked for the past 3 years to put in place a passenger rights bill that is fair and that is simple and clear. Today, phase one, we announced measures with respect to the obligation of the airlines to communicate clearly with air passengers. Secondly, compensation in cases of overbooking, which can go up to $2,400. Compensation in the case of lost or damaged baggage, which can go up to $2,100. A maximum period of time on the tarmac, which is 3 hours, and also the treatment of passengers during that waiting period, which must include access to water and food, to the bathroom, to communications, to air conditioning and heating if it's in the winter. Those are things that are absolutely essential to ensure that we minimize the discomfort of passengers when there are the odd tarmac delays. And finally, musical instruments, clear regulations with respect to the transport, either in the cabin or in the baggage hold of musical instruments. Phase two, which will be deployed in the coming months, will also address the question of delays and cancellations due to measures which are within the control of the airlines, and there will be compensations there. And also the very important fact that some families want to be with their children, close to their children, children under 14, and that they will be able to sit with them at no extra charge. So this is a big day. Phase one is in place. We've talked about it for a long time, but today we're actually putting it into practice. So Canadians will now have the opportunity to access these passenger rights when they feel that their rights have not been respected. All right, so the main reason why we decided to give a little bit more time to the airlines is because of something that happened earlier this year, which is the grounding of the Boeing MAX 8s as a result of those two very tragic accidents. And that has affected several airlines in Canada, and we recognize that that has put an additional burden on them in terms of their reservation systems and their operations. So we wanted to take that into account. But the second thing is that when you put in place measures that are clear, simple, and quick, it actually demands that you put in place some fairly complex software and systems within the airlines so that you can deal with the situation quickly. So we felt that on the question of delays and cancellations that we would give the airlines a little bit more time. They'll have to have those in place by the 15th of December, but a large number of measures are in effect today, and that's the good news. So in the majority of cases, we hope that the airlines will recognize that they have not lived up to their obligations when somebody has purchased a ticket. Let me give you a simple example: overbooking. We hope that if an overbooking situation occurs, that the problem will be resolved in terms of a check being provided to the person who was denied boarding within 48 hours, if not immediately. So that's very, very quick compared to before. And that in other cases, when a passenger feels that their rights have not been respected, they have up to a year to decide to write to the airline and say, on this particular date, blah, 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 this is what happened, and I deserve compensation. If for some reason the airline says we don't agree, then the option still remains for the passenger to go to the Canadian Transportation Agency, and the agency website explains very well how you submit your complaint. However, I believe that the vast majority of non-respect of passenger rights will be dealt with quickly by the airlines.
Minister Garneau, just to clarify, as of today, will anybody be eligible for bundling, or is all the compensation only happening in December?
No. As of today, if you have lost or damaged baggage, or if you have overbooking situation, let's say you're on a flight later today and for some reason it is overbooked and there are people who are denied boarding, you will be entitled to your financial compensation immediately. So it's in effect what we announced today for phase one.
Minister, there are some consumer rights advocates who say that what is defined as being given the airlines control is pretty lenient. For example, if there's a defect discovered on the tarmac shortly before a flight, that's not the airline's fault.
We believe that we've made it very clear what is within the airline's control and what is not within the airline's control. And obviously people recognize that some things are not within the airline's control. However, if a situation arises where there is discussion about whether it was within the airline's control and the passenger is or passengers are not satisfied, they can go to the Canadian Transportation Agency and they will make the final decision on that.